Welcome to PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And now, here are your hosts, the Photoshop guys.
Well, hi everybody, welcome back to PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. Much better, Pete.
Yes, I was ready this time.
The ones who bring you PhotoshopUser magazine. Hey everybody, so I'm joined today by Mr. Pete Collins, the lovely,
Mr.
the stunning, the beautiful.
Yes, thank you.
The sexy.
I wish I felt the same about you.
Pete Collins.
How's it going, guys? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to PhotoshopUser TV.
How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm a little winded because I ran in between the breaks, and I still can't breathe because I literally got here.
He
right
literally
before the
like sat
started.
down like 6 seconds before the show started, so that was good. Anyway, guys, we are back with another episode of PhotoshopUser TV. Now, if you did not know, one of the people that bring you Photoshop TV are the same people that bring you Photoshop World. We'd sure like it if you would go to Photoshop World. So, here is your marching orders. Go to PhotoshopWorld.com. It's September 5th through 7th in Las Vegas, so it's coming up, and take a look at it. If you want to learn photography, Photoshop, lighting, then it really is the conference to go to, and it's just a blast. So I encourage you to take a look at it. Pete's looking at the latest issue of PhotoshopUser, which has like a whole spread about Photoshop World in it.
You can definitely find out a lot of information here. Don't forget, early bird registration ends on the 3rd of August, which is coming up real soon.
It's actually, depends.
Oh, no, you're seeing this. Sorry, never mind.
If they're watching it
out.
live right now, which we know only about 3 people do,
Yeah.
then yeah, they can do it. But if they're not watching it live, then that early bird has already passed. But
anyway,
you
that
can
was
still
awkward.
go.
Awkward.
Yeah, we'll still, you could still go. We'd love it if you did go. And
don't forget to check out our, we have partner hotels, and you definitely want to be a part of that. You want to be in the same place that everything's going on, because
absolutely.
Not only are there the great conference seminars, the expo floor, but there's stuff going on all the time, and you want to be immersed in it. You want to be part of it. And that was the thing. Before I was ever part of this, I would go to it because it was the one thing every year that I'd go to and get so pumped up about what was going on. I'd learn so much. I'd make connections, network. It's the place to be, and it's in Vegas, so check it out.
Awesome. All right, you got a, you do have a tutorial. Oh no, Don Ho.
Oh no, Don Ho. Yeah, I've got a little quick tip here for you. First of all, a little shout out to Weird Al Yankovic. If you haven't seen his great video, it's from a while back called Bob. Everything in the song is a palindrome. And so, oh no, Don Ho, you can read it frontwards or backwards, and it still says, oh no, Don Ho. That was just a little extra there for you. But here's a little quick tip for you. Let's say you're going to use something with water. You're going to have a water scene. Maybe you're going to have some product splashing into the water. And you can find all kinds of bubble brushes that you can create these nice circular brushes, bubbles. The thing is, a lot of times, as you can see, when something interacts with the water, the bubbles are trying to get back to spherical, but a lot of times because of the cavitation of the water, I've been watching Discovery Channel.
You have been.
Yes. The bubbles aren't perfectly spherical. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word for a second there after I said cavitation, but they're not perfectly round. So don't forget that one of the great filters that we have, funnily enough, is Liquify. And for those of you that get a little confused about Liquify and all these settings, one of the best ones that I like to make sure is that I click on Show Backdrop, because I want to see how my image is interacting with the scene.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes you can get confused about how it's going to, is it going to be a blend mode? Is it going to be in front? Is it going to be in back? I tend to have it set for blend, and you can change the opacity so it either is less distracting or it shows real clearly how it's going to interact. That's a little side note. But now I just take my Liquify, the first brush up here, and you always want to make sure it's bigger than the area that you're liquifying, just so that it creates a nice smooth blending. And then I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to start bumping up the bubble as if it's starting to fight its way to the surface. And you've all seen it when you see scuba diving or whatever. It kind of squishes just a little bit. And very quickly, very easily, I can create some different bubble shapes that I can then take that and create another one and create bubble after bubble that's going to start to interact with whatever product or whatever I'm dropping into that water scene.
Cool.
So my quick tip is don't forget to use Liquify if you're ever going to use bubbles. It's a great tool.
And there's a tip within a tip there, which is...
You always got to come on top of my tips. Okay, tell me what I did wrong this
No,
time,
you didn't do anything wrong. It was very cool.
I'm so sensitive.
I think there's a tip within a tip. You did it, which is make a big brush. And if you'll notice, anybody that uses Liquify never uses the middle of the brush, where that little crosshair is. Anybody that uses Liquify tends to get a really big brush and just push on the edge of the brush and you can see Pete's screen right now.
Yeah, if we go back to my screen, if you use the middle of the brush, let's say I wanted to bring this edge up. If I do it here, what's going to happen is it's going to quickly start to bow it in.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you more of a harsh, you can see it even gives me kind of some funkiness there, whereas if I go back and I use the edge of the brush, it's almost as if I'm taking a bubble and bumping it into the other one. Most of the time using a Liquify brush, you want to use the edges versus the center, and it gives you a much better result.
Good tip, Pete.
Thank you. Good tip on top of my tip, man.
Thanks. All right, hey guys, we got a quick break. When we get back, we have a special guest tutorial, we got my tutorial, and a whole bunch more. We'll see you back here in just a minute.
I can't wait to do this again.
Well, hi everybody. We are back, the Photoshop guys, and we have a special guest, don't we?
We do. You had a chance to sit down with a wonderful photographer known around the world for his blog, his interaction on Google+, all over the place, Mr. Trey Ratcliff. And he's going to give us a little tutorial. And as we say in the business, we need to stretch that out. According to the signs from over there,
I know, we're good now?
Talk a little longer. Okay, now
as we say in the business, thumbs up means
now we're ready to go. So let's go check out what Trey has to say right here.
Well, hi everybody. I am here on the set of Photoshop User TV with Trey Ratcliff. Trey Ratcliff, photographer extraordinaire. No, I asked Trey actually how to introduce him before. He goes, I don't know. Anyway, Trey is actually he's a travel photographer. You run the website blog stuckincustoms.com where you post photos on there every day.
Right.
But tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Well, so I started that blog a couple years ago, probably 5 years ago, and I do put up a new photo every day, and I talk about the art and the science behind it. It's really gained a lot of traction over the years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not by any master plan or anything like that.
You literally just started it just figuring, hey, I'm going to post a photo a day. And
yeah, because it's, you know, it's a beautiful thing for me because I love to create art and share it with the world. And
you love travel too, so
yeah, of
it
course.
kind of goes hand in hand.
And insofar as other people like it, I think that's great too, you know, come in, the water's warm. And there's so many people out there who not just want to take photos, but want to create beautiful art They want more, something special. And that's kind of the thing that I'm into. And that's, so it's a little bit right-brained on there. And we tend to attract the kind of people that, that are very fascinated by this new evolving world of photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody likes to travel. Everybody likes to take great pictures, and you kind of give a look into the world of all of that, where you're showing them, you know, here's my travels, but here's the photos that I'm taking. Maybe a little bit of the story that's behind it. And I think that's what people dig the most about it, is that they can always relate to it. You know, whether we're traveling in the States or traveling abroad, wherever it is, I think people can relate to that, and seeing that place that they want to take a picture of, kind of learning a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it is kind of aspirational in that regard, and it's sort of a lifestyle thing. But whether you're going to take, you know, one trip maybe next year to Venice, or maybe you're just going to go see the autumn in the Northeast someday, everyone has at least one trip planned. And when they go there, they want to collect stories and collect experiences. And the best way to do that is through photography. So this kind of gets them thinking in that way, and it's sort of a nice way to do it.
All right, so, and it's funny because I just thought of it, and I know we have a Photoshop tip for everybody too, but it's there's so much conversation in it too. I just thought, you know, I think a lot of people think travel as they have to go to China or Thailand. I mean, you have to go to all these different places. But you know, when you were coming here, I looked on Google Plus, and I saw, and you posted a photo you took at Disney World.
Right.
And it was a great photo. I mean, you know, it was a very cool image to see. And I think there's something to learn from that too, which is, you know, take your camera with you, and even if you're just going to Disney World and you're taking your family, there's so much more that you can photograph.
There's beautiful stuff everywhere. Once you cross the Rubicon and become a photographer, you see beautiful things everywhere. And so whether it's, you know, an hour by plane or an hour by car, there's beautiful things all around you all the time.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So Trey, in addition to being a very good photographer, Trey is also extremely good at Photoshop as well. So I wanted to kind of have you on do a Photoshop tip for everybody.
Oh, sure. Well, I've got a million of these crazy tips, and I'm weird when I come to technology and cameras and stuff. I never read a book on photography. I never took a class. I never read a book on Photoshop, even though you guys do great books. This sort of thing.
I don't read them either, so it's okay.
But I'm just the personality type that I just love going and figuring things out in a weird way. So I've accidentally stumbled upon all these very strange tricks. So I'll show you a good one here. So this is a photo from Burning Man this year. And I took it with a wide-angle lens, Nikon 14-24. And one of the problems with these lenses is that it stretches everything out on the sides. Okay, and it's typically not a problem for like landscape shots where you have rocks, because a stretched rock still looks like a rock. But you can definitely see it with humans and other things that are supposed to have a certain shape. So how do you correct this? Okay, well, you know, when the new CS5 came out, everyone was talking all about the great lens corrections and this kind of stuff. Whenever anyone's talking too much about something, I get very suspicious about, is it really as good as they say? And it turns out that it's not. Okay, I don't think it's that great. It works great maybe for like a fisheye.
That's exactly it.
That's about it. But you know, often, you know, who takes that many fisheye shots? Hardly anybody. But a lot of people take wide-angle shots, and it just doesn't do that good of a job. Here, I'll show you what a lousy job it does, in fact. I'll go here to layer. I'm sorry. Where is that thing? Oh, yeah, it's filter, lens correction. And if I turn on and off geometric distortion, it hardly does anything. And, you know, it's practically useless. And of course, the problem is over here, these super stretched hominids over here. And you can even see that this one is a little bit stretched wide. So that's a problem too. So what's another way to fix this? Also, this is an interesting kind of artistic point in a way, is that your eye only tends to notice things that are distorted vertically. Right? So you can see that these guys are stretched, even though there's also stretching going on at the top and the bottom, you just don't notice it as bad. It's something about the way humans interact with the horizon. So when you correct this stuff, you really only need to correct things that move across the horizon. So here's a better way to fix it. So I'm going to select all, okay? Select all. Sorry, I have hotkeys, so I'm used to doing it my own way. Then I'm going to transform, okay? That brings up our little pulley corners here. And then we're going to...
That's the technical term, too.
Pulley corner.
Pulley corner.
And then I'm going to right-click and say warp. Okay. And you know, this is going to do some really cool stuff to the photo because really you can make a strong argument that when you take the photo with that wide angle lens, it's already warped, right? So what you're doing is, to me, this is like unwarping, right? You're going to bring it back. So I don't really like that.
Unwarp tool, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like that word so much because it makes it seem like you're Frankensteining the photo too much, but really, in my eye, you're just correcting it. So what you can do with this is you can just start to drag in these corners and leave the middle alone. Because if you notice everything in the middle, it looks pretty good. Yeah. Everything is right. But the problem is these sides. So if you bring these in and leave the middle alone, you can start to correct this stuff, okay? And just keep, you have to drag all 4 of these guys in, and it's always a little weird, it gets a little curvy.
It's a give and take, you have to go back and forth with them from what I found.
And then over here on this side is, of course, where we're gonna see the big changes. As I pull this in, these guys are gonna start to look a little bit more human and less wide. Very simple. Now, the other thing that happens sometimes with a wide-angle lens is it'll take the middle and make it way too small and tiny. So you can also take the middle and stretch it out a little bit. So you're both stretching the middle and compressing the sides sort of on this horizontal plane, and that makes everything just feel a lot better. So I'm doing a little bit of a quick and dirty job here.
Well, it's cool because, you know, it's one of those tools in Photoshop that there is no, like you said, the unwarp tool or anything like that. And it's, you know, people see warp and they automatically think, like you said, Frankenstein. It's a perfect, you know, I'm going to do weird things to the photo. It's like, you know, hair. There is no hair selection tool. You know, you have to use a combination of a whole bunch of other tools to get what you want.
That's right. So anyway, when you're done with this, you just press Enter. And then your sides are going to be a little bit herky-jerky, right? So you need to just pull out your crop tool and then do a clean crop so you don't get any of the white mess. You might cut off a little bit, but you know, it's not the end of the world. And then just to Enter, and then you're good to go.
Very close, especially on the right.
Yeah, everything looks good again.
Big difference.
And it's a great trick. I use it almost all the time whenever I have any wide-angle issues.
Yeah, and then I noticed that from your work because you shoot a lot of wide-angle stuff. And
yeah, well, I know you love the landscape stuff like I do. I saw that beautiful Banff image you had in your office, and the edges do pull out a little bit. And when you're into landscape photography, this is a little bit of maybe a side tip, is that you got to watch out because once you switch to wide angle, the first time you look through a wide angle lens, it's like a Valhalla of sorts. You can't believe it. Like, oh my gosh,
this is crazy.
What a wild world.
Especially 14mm on a full frame camera.
Right. It's fantastic. You know, we do these photo walks, and I always have people invite them to come look through my lens, and it's the first time, and like I see it the first time, just like they did. So anyway, when you're taking these landscape shots, you start to go wider and wider and wider because once you see a little bit of beauty in a landscape, you can start to go a little wider. Oh my gosh, there's more stuff, but it's a slippery slope because if you go too wide, the shot ends up not being about any particular subject, but about everything.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. But if there's a wonderful mountain or a wonderful jagged shape or an incredible tree or a lake, if you don't watch out, as you go wider and wider and wider and squeeze more and more stuff in, you might lose the emphasis on this particular thing. Like, of course, in your Banff shot, you should probably bring that up on the screen since I'm talking about it so much. But
we'll throw it up on screen here.
But you have that lake and the mountains. Those are prominent. And if you had gone too wide, you would have pulled in all this other stuff that's also pretty, but you would have lost the mountains and the lake. And that's really the beauty of the shot.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for the tip. So if people want to find out more about you and kind of follow you a little bit, what's the best place to do that?
Well, they could just Google Trey Ratcliff. Google Plus is where I tend to spend a lot of time. StuckInCustoms.com is sort of my main blog. That's sort of like the mothership of my digital life and sort of my diary of sorts. But then I have all these other various Twitter and Facebook.
And you've got some apps out there and whatnot that people can check out. And I assume you can find it all on Stuck in Customs.
Right. We just launched a new free app, which I don't mind promoting, a free app called Stuck on Earth. And it's got
very cool.
It's got millions of the best places on Earth to go take photos. It's great for trip planning, for inspiration. It's really a beautiful app.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, thank you very much for coming by the studio. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon. First place in swimming and volleyball.
Yeah, well, then the suits, you know, the sand's got to get in there, and it just messes all.
Hey, we're back. Back in Photoshop TV. Hey, thanks for Trey. You know, Trey was in our studios, and it was cool to have him down. So anybody that comes by our studios, we make sure we rope them in for a tutorial.
We wrangle anybody we can.
All right, so I got a quick little tip for you here. Here's the idea. Let me back out for a second. So here's the idea. We're going to place this gentleman into this photo here. But I wanted to give you a tip that I always use whenever I'm doing anything like that, which is, hold on a second.
Well, meanwhile, look over here. Look over here. Don't look at Matt. Meanwhile, while he's doing that, I just want to say to Justin Rausch, I think that's your name, don't make fun of my words. I'm watching you. No, it's funny. Looking on the comments over in Google+, he was making fun of the fact that I slid through the word spherical, nice and clear.
Nice.
So I just thought I'd say, hey, how's it going,
concave, whatever the other thing.
Cavitate. No, I did cavitate fine. It was the spherical that got me in trouble.
All right. Okay, so back to our story here. We're going to put this gentleman onto this photo here, I have a tip for doing this. This is a composite, obviously. See, she's not really there, and she's not really there. So the tip is if you have a selection, so you're going to make a selection. I always start off with the quick selection tool, and I kind of give myself a very quick base to make a selection from. Well, as you do this, when you get done, if you make the selection first, if you go into Refine Edge and you select the hair and everything like that, and you move him into wherever you're going from or going to, you kind of lose a little bit of flexibility, because if you take the whole image as it is, and you put it over onto this image so you can see the background still there, and you make your selection that way. All right, so I'm just using the quick selection tool. Just go around the edges here, and apparently I've got the whole thing. Whenever that happens, I just hold down Option or Alt, which is not the tip, to help out. All right, so there, I got my selection. Here is the tip. Go into Refine Edge. Normally it tries to show you on a white background. If you scroll down to Layers, it shows you on the background that you're going to put them on, which is pretty cool. So it helps you make a decision of how your selection looks based on the new background, not based on what the old background used to look like, right, or based on just using white or black, which are the options that you have inside of here.
And how fine you need to make the selections,
yeah,
because oftentimes you'll find that a dark background, certain selections hide very well, the light ones don't. And
you may do a lot of unnecessary selection work by selecting them before you put them in the background. So just take them, put them into the background, then do your selection, and you can use this.
Yeah, that's huge, because that'll save you time, but also you want to have it selected according to how it's going to be sitting in there. You don't need to make those selections without knowing how it's going to lay down. So that's a great tip. All
right. Hey guys, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll have our prize contests and all that fun stuff. See you back here in just a minute. Hey everybody, welcome back to Photoshop User TV. Thanks again to our sponsor, MPix. We do all of our printing over at MPix, and we hope that you will as well. So we got a couple prizes, Pete.
Yep, we sure do. Our first prize, Johnny, is
Johnny.
On One Software's Perfect Suite. They're a great sponsor of the show. We want to thank you so much for allowing us to give this away. It's Perfect Photo Suite 6. Awesome. It's got, yes.
Can I make a quick mention? Even if you don't win this, they have something that's included in the, well, it's partly included in this suite. They have their effects, perfect effects, but there's a free edition. So you can download the free edition, and we're always talking about this tonal contrast filter that we use. Well, it's free.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people say, well, hey, I can't afford the plugin. Well, you don't have to. It's free. So, and they got perfect layers, which is free as well.
And once you start playing with it, it's kind of like that gateway drug. You start playing with it and you see how good it is. You're going to want to get the other stuff. Yeah. So use with caution. Great thing. And then also we've got Photoshop CS6, the missing manual, and this is by
Lisa Snyder.
Alicia Snyder.
She's our buddy as well. So.
She is great. She has done a lot of stuff at Photoshop World, all kinds of tutorials with us. And we want to thank O'Reilly for bringing this book to us.
Cool. What's the matter, Jen? No.
Nope. We're getting yelled at, which we normally do for doing something wrong.
It happens every day.
We may have actually done that one right. So thank you, O'Reilly, for that book. And,
all right. We can win, you can win, not we can win, because we can't win. If you go to kelbytv.com/PhotoshopUserTV, find this show, leave a comment under this week's show, and we will pick from there, and you can win one of the prizes. All right, you good?
I'm good. It's been a good week.
It has been a good week. We hope that, we mentioned in the beginning, but we hope you will check out the website over at PhotoshopWorld.com, and we'd love to see you there. It's a great time. Photoshop World is my favorite time of the year, so we have it twice a year, and by far my favorite event of the entire year.
Yep,
cool.
I would agree.
Pito, blow it up.
Now let the fireworks rain down.
Fireworks rain.
Yes, I just learned that from my 6-year-old, so there you go.
Thanks for hosting today. Guys, thanks for watching. On behalf of myself and everybody at
Photoshop User Magazine.
We will talk to you again and see you again very, very soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care.